And welcome back, everybody, to the Sports Frenzy Podcast. Phil Pinarski here, joined as always by our News 8 sports correspondents, Dean Holzwarth and Andy McDonald. Gentlemen, another busy week, another busy show for everybody today. We're going to be talking about the Lions preseason game number 2, as well as how things kind of are shaping up ahead of Sunday's deadline to get to the 53-man roster. We also have a miscellaneous block that will be coming at the end, where we're going to be talking about the dilemma right now between college athletics and professional sports. We'll also take a look at my fantasy picks for the Wood TV Plus League this time around. But we do want to begin talking about the Tigers, who have not won a game since we last talked. About a week ago. So they have not won a game since we last chatted. Like I said, they've lost 6 in a row and 10 of their last 12. They sit 7 games behind first place in the AL Central right now for a playoff spot, and they are now 4.5 games out of that final wild card spot. Things were on the upswing just a week ago. How quickly things change. Where are we feeling right now as far as playoff hopes, guys? I feel like we're getting to the point where it's just safe to say it's over.
I mean, I have to eat crow a little bit, right? Because last week I was 85% that they're going to make the playoffs. And I thought about that today at work. I'm like, you know what? I really have to admit that I was wrong in this situation because, you know, we talked about how big the Kansas City series was, right? And you get no hitting, you get sloppy pitching, you get a faltering bullpen, and you lose 3 straight. Now, granted, you know, the Royals have been kind of hot. You know, I think after they're sweeping the Tigers, they had won 8 in a row or whatever the case may be.
Maybe a winning record at home. Pretty stunning.
Yeah, so they're very, very good at home, bad on the road. But, you know, those are the series that you have to win. And then I think the biggest turning point, and we can look at it, is Kenley Jansen giving up the 2 home runs in the 3rd game in the 9th inning against Pittsburgh. Like, right from then, obviously they've free-fallen. And I think it was a demoralizing loss because then you win that series and you have some confidence going into Kansas City, and it just didn't happen. So I think that was a key turning point now into their little losing skid.
Yeah, you know, you have those moments in like seasons that you just like remember. Like there's something that like happens where you remember it. So that day that they gave up the 2 home runs in the 9th inning, I was driving to my parents' house to grab something before I went up north last weekend. And when I was on my way there, the 9th inning had just started. I heard Kenley Jansen get the first out. My dad religiously listens to the Tigers on the radio, and nobody was home. So I was like, he probably still isn't in the right channel, right? And I turned it on, and I just hear, all it was a matter if it was fair or foul. And I'm like, no way, you got to be kidding me right now. And then I listened until they gave up the other home run. That'll stick with me because I always remember that was the moment that I gave up on the Tigers in 2026. Because, I was pretty much there for me. I mean, I can't really say that because if they ended up sweeping the Royals or had the opposite effect, we would have been talking about something different right now. But
you never know.
This is why I couldn't get too high on them, because you just have to realize that as good as this team will make you feel for a second, they are what the record is at the end of the day, no matter how bad that May was. And regardless, I believe they're 61-70, or they're close to that mark. It's not a good baseball team. I mean, why do we think that the Tigers are a team that is supposed to be that good when really they have a lineup full of rookies? They have a bullpen that hasn't done it all season. And when your best pitcher is Troy Melton is a rookie. Other than that, it's Framber Valdez, who hasn't been consistent. Jackson Jobe has only had a couple starts back from a surgery. It's just hard to imagine that this team is that close to the playoffs. Like, do I think in 2027 they could be right back to being a team that is in the playoff mix? Absolutely, if they did the right things this offseason. I think their lineup still has plenty of pieces. I think you have a couple of really good arms to work with. But right now, it feels like they're really far away from that. And I feel like this is more the reality for this team, that they're a team that can get hot and play hot for a while, but they're not a consistently good team because they just have too many holes up and down every part of their lineup. And the bullpen is the biggest part. There is not a good part. I mean, Drew Summers has had a pretty good month, I'll say that. But other than that, there isn't anybody you're pointing to out there that's going to do it for you. Kenley Jansen was the one guy who was, and he gave up that game. And I feel like that kind of took the air out of the sails of this team when they were playing a little bit better baseball on that road trip out west before that.
Yeah, my thought process was they could overcome some of their deficiencies. But like you said, they are who they are. Yeah. And, you know, despite obviously the margin of the run differential, it still just has not mattered. So
yeah, it's one of the more disappointing Detroit teams that I can remember from their preseason expectations.
Yeah,
coming in a really, really long time.
Yeah.
They were expected to be a lot better. So
and look at Dingler, Torkelson, even McGonigal a little bit. They've struggled so much during this.
Dingler was 2 for 50
and you still don't have Riley Green. So
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Riley Green right now, you're thinking, why would I even want to come back at this point? I mean, do you really want to risk re-injuring that leg for next season right now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to probably get to a point where that injury almost gets a little overextended, I'd imagine. But yeah, they're 4.5 games out of the wild card. That's what's hilarious. This is the
Silver
worst.
lining, they're not out of it.
Exactly.
They're truly not out of it. I mean, it's not an insurmountable amount of games when you have 32 left. I mean, you have to hop a lot of teams, obviously. But this American League is that bad. I mean, this is the worst American League in my lifetime. I can imagine if you were 60, 70 years old, it would be the same thing. I mean, there's a whole division that has a losing record right now in the AL West. I don't think any of them are above 500. Yeah. I think Houston is leading the division with a losing record. Like, it's hard to believe that all these teams are this bad, and that's why the Tigers are sticking around. And it only proves the point more of why I'm happy they made the decisions they did at the deadline.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be kind of my next, point of bringing up is the fact that, the Tigers were sellers at the deadline, and then there was sort of this belief that maybe, if they snuck into the playoffs and they weren't sellers, maybe they could compete for a World Series. I mean, again, just kind of makes even more sense given what happened that they were right in selling at the trade deadline.
Absolutely. I mean, you may not like what they got back for it, and you can say whatever you want about that. I'm not going to tell you that it was like the best return for Tarek Skubal this is why I was saying trade him before the season started, because that's the reality of it. Yeah. You were going to get more for him then than you were going to get in season in any of these seasons that he's been good. So I don't love what they got back, but I love that they at least made a move, because at that point you got to realize as management, you're thinking about the future of the Detroit Tigers, not anybody else. That was probably the best move for them to make, because the reality was they were never going to pay him. There's no team. There's like 3 to 4 teams that are probably going to offer him that much money. There's definitely no team in their own division that's going to pay him that much money. I don't know why you would expect anything else for Scott Harris and company to do.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you can't hate another thing Scott Harris has done, because the bullpen being the way that it is, and all the pitching he's gotten for the most, I'd say at least 80 to 90% of the pitching he's signed has not turned out to be good at all. Right. So there's a big problem there, and they don't have a lot of it within their system. Now he can develop bats. I mean, he's shown a good thing with that with the minor league system. They've had a lot of young talent come up, and I think we can look forward to that next year coming into the season. There's definitely some promising truth with that, but if they can't figure out how to sign pitching and do a better job with that, or develop some of the guys that they do get in their minor leagues that they got back from these trades, I mean, it's hard to imagine when it's going to get better.
Yep.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, obviously the Tigers, things are looking pretty dismal as far as playoff chances go. There's still about 30-ish games left, though, in the regular season. I mean, is there anything in particular that you think might be worth watching over these last 30 games? Things to maybe get your hopes a little up for next season, possibly?
I mean, I think it's, the development of the young guys, right? Like, can they go out on a daily basis and produce, be able to deliver in clutch moments, things like that, because you're not going to see Torque next year, okay? You're probably not going to see Gleyber Torres. So these guys are going to be filling in those roles next year. And so, you want to get comfortable at the major league level, get as many at-bats as possible for next year. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now. If Riley Green doesn't come back, it's going to give some of those younger guys a chance to continue to play every day. And, like I said, though, I'm not totally out on them. I do think they can make the playoffs, but
are you sure about that?
I mean, there is a chance, right?
Yeah, there is a chance.
We cannot just write them off completely. I know Andy wants to. I'm just not doing it right now.
I just told you what
the bullpen has been a mess. They brought up Andrew Sears from the Whitecaps, and he had a good first inning. Yeah, and then it went downhill. But they got to shore up the bullpen a little bit and somehow, some way, start to score some runs, because a lot of guys are in major slumps right now.
Yeah, Andrew Sears is a really good guy. I liked him when he was here.
I did too.
But and like, to be honest, he did recover pretty well from giving up those 4 runs. I'll give him that. They left him in there to wear it for a minute. Yeah. But that's kind of where they're at right now, because I don't think AJ really has anybody else to go to.
He doesn't trust anybody.
Yeah, I think he deserves some of the hate that's been coming too. But yeah, I mean, looking forward to next year. You're watching guys like Max Clark and Kevin McGonigal. I mean, that's kind of Kevin McGonigal has had a season that every Tigers fan should be proud their organization delivered, because he's clearly developed into a player a lot faster than even anybody thought he was going to. Obviously, he was a highly rated prospect, but he's already doing this in the major leagues in his first year. That is extremely encouraging. I think, Riley Green will be an interesting situation, because people forget he's not even 25 years old yet. Like he still is young. And I think some Tigers fans want him to be traded. I would like to see them extend him and sign him because I think he could be a really good piece for this team for a long time. But and Dylan Dingler obviously is slowed down a little bit, but I think the season that he's had overall outweighs the 2 for 50 slump he's had here. Hopefully he can finish it strong. There's plenty you want to watch in the lineup every day, which keeps you. I mean, it's probably not going to have you buying the TV network, but I do think that if you get the chance to keep up with them, still you're probably still watching the box score every now and again to see what Max Clark does or what Kevin McGonigal does night in and night out. So, there's still things to watch in the lineup. And Troy Melton, Jackson Jobe, like you want to see some of those arms. So there's things to pay attention to. It's just hard right now because football's almost here, and it was a disappointing season overall from what you expected.
Absolutely. Well, again, things looking kind of dim for the playoff chances for the Tigers. But speaking of the playoffs, we got to mention the West Michigan Whitecaps, who have made a complete 180 from the first half of the season. They are currently in first place in the Midwest League in the second half, which would guarantee them a playoff spot. This coming off of a first half where we saw the Whitecaps finish in dead last of the Midwest League. Complete turnaround, and a big part of that, especially recently, has been the hot bat of Bryce Rayner.
Yeah, I mean, he basically broke the franchise record. He had home runs in 5 straight games. And a lot of those were in the first inning, right?
Yeah,
and so a lot of times, I know Jack Doles talked about how he got there late one game, or top of the second, and Rayner had already hit a home run.
He's probably put in his food order upstairs.
And it's funny, when Rayner broke his streak, he didn't have a home run, I think, in one of the games last week. But then the next night, he had another home run. So, this kid just has such a bright future, I think, with the Tigers, and I think we might see him up there sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's something that you definitely like to see. There's, a lot of players throughout the minor leagues that you like that really can come up next year and do something. And he's one of them. I don't think he's going to make it out of camp, but he's somebody that you can see probably like a Max Clark that comes up midway through the season next year. And that's exciting because it's another infield arm that you want in bat that's pretty good. So, the Whitecaps have definitely been more exciting. If they make the playoffs, I think that's fun for everybody around here, and that'd be awesome to see. Yeah. And it would be cool just because last year, you win the championship. You don't really want to be the team that just completely bottoms out the next season. At least they've had a good second half and kind of made it right in that way. I'm excited to go there tonight and cover the game. And I think every time that I've been there recently, talking to anybody that works around it, they've been having a lot more fun in the second half than they were having in the first half.
And crowds have been great too. And I do think a lot of that is because of the success that they've been having.
Yep.
Yeah, no, huge part of that. And again, it's going to be, if we can't get playoff baseball in Detroit, might as well have it here in West Michigan, right?
Right, yeah.
So again, something to keep an eye out for. We're going to be following the latest on both the Tigers and the Whitecaps throughout the remainder of their season. Let's take a break real quick, guys. And on the other side of that break, we'll be talking all about the Detroit Lions and their second week in the preseason. And welcome back, everybody, to Sports Frenzy right here on Wood TV Plus. We're talking about the Detroit Lions now, and before we get into what we saw in Week 2 of the preseason, guys, I want to get your initial reactions to the new Rivalries uniform that the Lions unveiled. This is a first look at it. Especially for Dean. Again,
first time seeing this.
Yep, the NFL released these for all 32 teams. They're going to be wearing them when teams play their rivals during this upcoming season. The Lions will actually be debuting these new jerseys in Week 8 against the Minnesota Vikings. Here's a look at Jared Goff in them. Andy, we kind of had the same thoughts when we first saw these. They look a lot like the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I thought Jahmyr Gibbs was Chuba Hubbard there for a minute. It's ridiculous. I saw a pretty funny tweet today from somebody out there that had Cade Mays in his Panthers uniform and said, "Look at this sick edit I did." This switch more he played for the Panthers last year. For those who don't know, but they're. Listen, Phil, I'm not gonna go. I don't think they look bad. I think
it's just the color scheme.
I don't hate them. I literally think that blue looks like the Panthers blue too.
No, it doesn't look like Honolulu
it looks
blue.
Like Carolina blue.
I don't understand it. I don't hate the design of the jersey. Like whatever it looks, I think it looks okay. Like it just looks like a road jersey almost, and they're just. It's clearly like a little different the accent, but everything else kind of looks the same as a lot of their other jerseys have. That helmet,
kind of sick.
I like the helmet. Yeah, I will give the helmet.
I do like the helmet, but the color, it's Carolina colors.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, though, they did wear that same helmet with the black jerseys, didn't they? That they had last year.
It might have been a little different, but still like blue with the black line. Yeah,
it was like pretty much. And the same
again, you had those great uniforms last year. Why not do something similar to that?
Are they taking those away completely? I don't
know if they're taking them away completely.
I thought this was just to wear for 1 week for a rivalry week or whatever. But because I think is it every team the NFL wears them the same week, or do they?
I don't think it's the same week. Okay. I think it's different weeks, but each team got their own rivalry uniform.
It's pretty cool. I mean, My favorite in the NFC North is the Packers. I hate to say it, but
Really?
I like how theirs look the most for sure.
You mean the throwbacks?
I think the
a couple
Bears
years ago, those were horrible.
No, they have new ones now.
Oh, okay.
But
I'm saying
those
brown
throwbacks.
ones?
Oh, right, yeah.
Trust me, this is probably the first time I've given any different alternate Packers jersey credit. But I don't like the Bears ones. I think they look like I think they look like they're a bunch of 8th graders playing football in those. And the Vikings ones to me look like they're color rush jerseys and no different. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe just wear the normal Honolulu blue and gray. I don't know.
Honestly, it's a classic look. You can't really go wrong with that, right? Well, that's our fashion expertise for everybody to see.
Yeah, if you can't tell with
the
all my
runway.
stuff,
Exactly,
I
right.
really care what I wear.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about what the Lions were actually able to do on the field this week in the preseason. They took on the Washington Commanders in Week 2, coming off that loss in Week 1 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Things looked a little scary at first for the Lions, but they were able to bounce back, taking home the 17-13 victory in that one. Needed a little bit of a comeback. Josh Dobbs having to come back into the game to lead that comeback. I mean, all right, initial thoughts from Week 2. Again, finally saw a win from the Lions.
I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember there was like years and years that they didn't have any preseason wins, right? And obviously, it doesn't matter.
No.
But, I mean, I think still to feel good. It was really a home preseason game, so that was good. But I kind of liked what I saw, especially Derek Moore, the rookie out of Michigan on the edge. He really... He's got this explosiveness about him, and it's a little bit different than Hutch a little bit. So I think if he's able to get in there, and have Hutch on opposite sides there, I think they can create a really good pass rush. So I was impressed with him. And then Joshua Dobbs, 50-yard, I didn't know he had that much speed, for that 50-yard touchdown run. So, no, I think right now, if Dobbs is your number 2, and Altmaier's your number 3. I mean, I'm okay with that, right? We talked about this last week. We're never going to wish any ill will for Jared Goff to get hurt, but hopefully, those guys could come in and do the job if needed.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I think the highlight was the defensive line. I think you're maybe starting to get a feeling, again, it's the preseason. I always promise myself I'm never reading into it too much one way or the other. But I do think that you're seeing, like, Derek Moore looked like a guy who can really make a difference to me out there. Like, he looked like a guy who is a professional and knows how to rush the quarterback. He's already got really good size for being a rookie. So that's a plus too. I think what you've also seen, though, from some of the other defensive ends and linemen the Lions have had, they've had constant pressure on the quarterback, sometimes against some of the starters. And a couple of these, I like what I've seen from DJ Wonham a lot too. And they've had a couple other guys that have looked really good as well. So yeah, the defensive line looks like it could be making a correction to where they can at least get something out of that other defensive end position with a little bit of a rotation with a couple of guys. With maybe Derek Moore leading the charge is what you probably would like with where they spent the second round pick at. But you're getting something out of that I think you're going to like that is productive. On the other end of things, the thing that I don't like is that Isaac Tesla only got 1 target again this game. He still hasn't made a catch in the preseason, and the last, I think if you carry that on for too long, it can become a problem mentally. So for me, I would really like to see them get him involved in the third game and do something, because it just hasn't been the best camp for him. Is it something I'm going to say that we should just forget about him and he shouldn't start or something to start the year? No, absolutely not. But I would like to see more out of him, that's for sure.
Yeah, Meeks looked really good.
He did. He did look really good.
His first name, but
Jackson Meeks.
Jackson Meeks.
Jackson
Meeks. I really liked him.
Well, and sticking on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, are you guys at all worried that the Lions have yet to score more than 20 points? Again, I know it's the preseason, the backups are getting in, no starters are really getting, ample time out there, but it's a little surprising to see a team that's kind of known for having high-powered offense not even be able to score 3 touchdowns.
Well, that's because you don't have your...
Yeah,
I get it, but it doesn't worry. Is it surprising at all? Or worry?
I'm not worried or surprised about
Well,
that.
I think the one thing that you could complain about if you're a Lions fan with that is that the talent hasn't been in the game even once, because last year they looked like crap against Green Bay in Week 1. And if they come out with the same... I understand you don't want anybody to get hurt.
Trust Dan Campbell.
Okay, well, he got trusted last year, and then that happened.
I know.
I'm not saying that
they come ready to play.
I don't need to see them play a lot, but in Week 3, I'm not going to lie, I'd love to see them play a series, because I just don't want that to be their first taste. I think the Saints are a sneaky team this year, and I think that could maybe cause some problems.
No Kamara, no
for
way.
Lions. Yeah, and what's that?
No Kamara for
that is true. But they got Travis Etienne now, so.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I think that's important to at least get some kind of repetition. Almost every other team does it. So I'd like to see that.
I'm not going to agree with you on that.
Yeah, I just think you get something and then it helps a little bit before you come out on the field for the first game.
Everybody has that fear factor of somebody getting hurt.
It sucks. But Sam Laporta's getting hurt in practice anyway. You know what I mean? And now he's questionable. And players play just as hard in practice sometimes as they do in these preseason games. I'm not saying that there's not guys out there that really want to make a team, because you're going to see a lot of that in Game 3. But I think that would be the one thing that you would, if there's any hate, that'd be it. No, to answer your question, Phil, I'm not really worried about the back. But the thing that's really worried about is I don't trust Altmaier or Josh Dobbs, to be honest with you. Jared Goff needs to stay healthy. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm also not surprised. I just want to point out, I'm just asking questions here. And again on Monday, before.
Listen, the Lions went 4-0 the year they went 0-16 in the preseason.
That is very
valid
true.
Valid point.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, the teams have to come out with their 53-man rosters by Sunday night. Are there any question marks on this roster for the Lions, or really any guys that you've seen so far in the preseason that you hope end up on that 53-man roster that might be kind of on the fringe? Like, we know that there are several guys that are definitely having a spot, but anybody on the fringe out there that you'd like to see in the play for the Lions on Week 1?
I think Ahmed Hassanin, if I'm saying his name correctly, has obviously been another story that was really good from Game 1. You didn't see as much from him in Game 2, but I think he'd be a good part of that rotation. The defensive end, so I really hope that he makes the team. I think he's done enough to do that. And then maybe if there's another player, it'd be Skylar Gill-Howard for me. I think he's looked really good up the middle too. So those are the two players for me that I want to see make the team. If there's any question that they're not going to.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Travion Williams. He played really, really well against the Commanders. So he's a guy that could be that third running back behind Pacheco. But I do think that there's a lot of depth at running back right now. So that will be interesting to see who they keep as far as that goes. Obviously, you need someone to help on special teams too. So
that's something that should go not unnoticed, is that the offensive line did not look great in the second preseason game. That's a little bit of a concern to me up the middle still. With I bet you could have probably counted 4 or 5 sacks on Jared Goff if it wasn't for Josh Dobbs being a mobile quarterback in that game. So that's one thing that I still need to see on paper. Like Juice Scruggs, there's a lot riding on his shoulders. So I think he's going to get the starting job. It's a lot coming on his shoulders to start the year when they don't have Cade Mays.
Yeah, he better bring the juice.
Right. All
right, guys. Well, let's take one more quick break here on the show. And on the other side, we've got some miscellaneous topics to go over, including the dilemma right now between college athletes who go pro but want to come back to campus. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And welcome back, everybody, to Sports Frenzy right here on Wood TV Plus. We're taking things a little bit differently now. We're not going to be talking so much about Michigan sports teams right now, but rather some collegiate and NFL teams and some NBA teams as well, because there is a situation going on right now regarding collegiate athletics. We've had 2 players right now so far who have gone to their professional levels, who have now already decided to come back and play back in college, and they both involve LSU. So the 2 players right now in question, the most recent one is RJ Lewis, who played at St. John's and was actually the 2025 Big East Player of the Year. Well, he went undrafted in the NBA, but has decided to come back, and after a judge gave him an injunction, he'll actually be suiting up for the LSU Tigers. As things stand right now, again, the NCAA could still get involved. And then, of course, we have Daquan Wright, who made headlines because he played at Ole Miss last year, ended up playing with the Browns. He got cut from the Browns, and now he's headed back to Baton Rouge as well to suit up for Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers. The Big Ten has also come out saying that they're going to be passing a ruling to sort of ban this from happening, specifically with guys going to the NFL and then trying to come back. I mean, this just seems like it was pretty much going to happen as soon as the NIL situation started to unfold more and more, and it just seemed like it just started to avalanche more and more, and now we're in the situations like this. I mean, I cannot believe that we're even talking about this, and there is still, like, it's one thing to be talking about this. The fact that they're already eligible to play, like they're already getting the chance to do this.
It's a little mind-boggling, right? Because the courts granted this 5th-year eligibility, right? So that's why they're able to do it. But there just has to be a blanket rule that says you cannot go to an NFL team or get drafted or sign a contract or play in preseason games and then go back to college. Right. Like that is absolutely ridiculous. And a shocker that Ryan Day says today that, I don't agree with it necessarily, but if it's something if something we had to do, we would explore it and look at it, of course, so and Lane Kiffin's just shady anyway. So, I think he's taking a lot of heat right now because he's welcoming these players in. But like, if the rules allow it, then Lane Kiffin's going to do it. So very disappointing, and I just hope it doesn't happen again after this year.
It's the wild, wild west. That's college football,
Wild,
man.
Wild
I mean, it's college athletics right now. Like, it's just there. Anything seems to go. Like, you hear something new every day where you're just like, how is this even possible?
Right.
Aren't these college kids that go to school and go to class? Like,
that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
When is anybody doing a class project? There are no group projects anymore.
Yeah,
Anything
like
that.
doing whatever they want, getting out money.
right.
Seriously, it's
Who
insane.
cares?
Like, it's like, this is what the NCAA has allowed. This has been the problem for quite a while now. I mean, it's one thing after another. I mean, the Brendan Sorsby situation was the thing earlier this summer where he was almost allowed back. Thankfully, they decided to not let that happen. I mean, that would have been another thing that would still probably be getting talked about way too much right now. But I mean, here's the thing: at the end of the day, is it going to stop you and me from watching college football? No. Is it going to stop any of the consumers from watching college football? No. Because everybody threatens that that's going to happen, but it never does because it's your Saturday routine. That's been your life. Right. That's what you do when you like college football. Like you watch college football, no matter how much it might upset you in certain situations. And I think the one thing that really upsets people more than anything else, which I actually do like about the product now, is that other teams, like Indiana is the great example, but other teams too that weren't as good before are now, actually competing for like playoffs and making stuff like that because of the transfer portal. It hasn't really changed the product on the field for me yet. So I still feel like I'm watching pretty good games when I watch a lot of the games. So until that changes, I feel like it won't be that big of a deal. But this kind of stuff just keeps adding up and adding up and adding up to the point where people will probably crack at some point if they don't get some kind of control over what they're doing. Right. And this is just the latest rule of another one of those little things that people pull out of a hat, it seems like, of what's wrong with college football in the NCAA right now.
Right. Well, that's my thing, too, is I just feel like it is just the wild, wild west right now. Again, there just needs to be a rule of law at some point telling these players, these coaches, these organizations, hey, this can't happen. You're ruining the game. You're making it a bad product just by allowing this to happen. So we'll see if the NCAA gets involved in these cases, the ones that we've just named, or some of the future ones that will likely and probably be coming down the pipeline in just a matter of moments. Guys, let's switch gears just a little bit, though, because, of course, we're getting super excited for the return of Fantasy Plus on a weekly basis right here on Wood TV Plus. And that involves our Wood TV 8 League right here, which we had our fantasy draft last week. We're going to be talking a lot more about that draft in this coming week of Fantasy Plus, but I want you guys to kind of react to my draft because I had the luxury of picking first overall, so I want you guys to give me your honest opinions about how I did on this draft. Again, it's a little hard to see, but I went Jahmyr Gibbs #1 overall. How do we? Let's start there. I mean, good first pick, I think.
Would you
have gone Bijan?
I would have went Bijan Robinson. So I don't hate Jahmyr Gibbs, but it's still a good pick.
Here's why I like Gibbs, because the Lions are going to be more competitive, I feel like, and they're going to have their offense is going to be better, and Gibbs is going to be a part of that.
Yep.
All fair. Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, how many teams in the league?
Yeah, there are 12 teams. So I picked first, and then I didn't pick again until 24. So
you had first pick. Yeah, that's tough.
So I went AJ Brown at number 24, but then I got to pick at 25, and I got Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, so you get the back-to-back there. Yeah. I get that.
That's pretty good. Neighbors is good. Just thinking through.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I think Malik Neighbors is someone that'll weigh in your team heavily. I think if he comes back and is the player that everybody knows he can be, he just has to stay healthy.
Right. Well, again, that's getting ready for the NFL season, but we're getting ready for the high school football season, and that is getting underway this week right here in West Michigan. And Dean and Andy are going to be bringing us all of the latest from the high school football world right here on Wood TV Plus with the help of Behind the Frenzy. You guys have a really awesome first episode planned that's going to actually debut right after this episode of Sports Frenzy.
Yeah, we're excited about it. There's spotlight games for Thursday night and Friday night. The first couple weeks of high school, you have the games Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It's going to be an exciting couple of weeks as the season kicks off. And there's a lot of really talented teams in this area.
It never feels like it's here until it's here. And then all of a sudden you're just like, wow, there it is, the end of the summer. It's like kind of the transition into fall for me. So I feel like it's excited to have it back. I'm excited for some high school football and to get it going.
Yeah, Phil, the biggest question we always talk about, it's funny because it's from the first years, how many weeks in a row Andy will wear shorts on game nights? That's
okay, are we doing an over-under right now?
Literally what we talked about
the high school
almost
coach,
every year.
I'm not
so great.
I'm not the high school coach that wears shorts
all the way up.
He's
got the camera on.
Right? But I will wear shorts as long as the weather will allow me to wear shorts. If it drops below 45 degrees, I'm probably not wearing shorts. If it starts
You're wearing shorts at 45 degrees?
Listen, here we go.
You're wearing that 50?
If it's like 55 and sunny, I might still be in shorts, the long sleeve. That's how I am. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know what to tell you
I
guys.
respect it. Well, how many weeks do you think you're going to go?
The truth is like a couple of years ago, whenever it was, there was a year where it was actually like close to 70 degrees around kickoff for probably the first 7 to 8 weeks of the year.
He's right.
So I wore shorts every week comfortably almost until like the playoffs.
I think that was the year that it was like 75.
We were doing
Halloween
the frenzy
or
then,
something.
for
We were
sure.
doing the frenzy.
So,
We get
yeah.
weather forecasts and stuff. It's fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun year.
Absolutely.
good.
It's going to be a great time. And again, that first inaugural episode of the season is premiering right after this episode of Sports Frenzy. So stay tuned if you're watching us on Wood TV Plus, and if you're watching us on woodtv.com, well, you can go ahead and find the latest episode of Behind the Frenzy right now on that website as well. That is going to do it for us on this edition of Sports Frenzy. I want to thank Dean and Andy as always for joining me. I'm Phil Pinarski, hoping that you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you again next time.